the rare hybrid of Princeton University and cast of Real World alum from Good Morning Football, Kyle Brandt, back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Kyle?
Rich, did you know today is the 150th anniversary of the first football game ever played, Princeton versus Rutgers, today?
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Rutgers won the game 6-4, and they went on to, years later, have a lot of great players who play for the Patriots, which is incredible.
That's I was about to say, how many left-footed punters did Belichick's great-great-great-great-grandfather actually go ahead and
so many.
lionize?
And so I did play football at Princeton, and also in many of our games that I played, we scored 4 points. So it's a great anniversary for all of us.
So were that two safeties? Is that really what it was? I mean, have we broken down the box score?
I think it must have been, because unless there was a drastically different scoring system, 6-4, the final score, which I think was also the final score of the Patriots-Rams Super Bowl this past year.
Wow.
And so it's all come full circle.
Well, I think it was I think the best thing about it is that James K. Polk had Rutgers defense and special teams for his fantasy team, and he was lit up about that result, Kyle. That's
wicked
fantastic.
Mustache on James K. Polk. Long before the Gardner Minshews of the world, Polk put that thing on the map.
May his starting time in Jacksonville in 2019 rest in peace at this point in time. You know, it's amazing. When we were out there for the NFL Network this past weekend in London, Doug Marrone told us, the whole broadcast crew, you know what, regardless of what happens in the game, he's just going to sleep on it. He's going to take the bye week, and he'll come back after the bye week. And he waited basically no time. Did that surprise you a little bit, Kyle, on that front there? What do you think?
It didn't surprise me, actually. I was actually proud of him, because you think about this. It was a couple of weeks ago, Rich, they're handing out 20,000 mustaches at Jacksonville. It was a cool thing. It would have been very easy to just say, we got a thing going here. The fans like it. The players respond to it. I think it was the prudent decision for a football man just to say, look, I like the jean shorts as much as the next guy, but we got a guy who Gardner Minshew has a statue. No, Nick Foles has the statue. Let's put the guy in who's actually won the Super Bowl instead of going with some crazy fad. I was actually impressed that he did. I thought it was the prudent thing to do.
So who do you have in that division? What do you think? AFC South, Kyle?
You know, when Luck retired, we had this whole debate, and I said, look, I love Frank Reich, and I've learned quickly to never give up on Frank Reich. Frank Reich's entire life has been about being doubted, and yet I said, I got to go with Deshaun Watson. I have to. And I remember, you know, Peter Schrager, my cohort, was just shaking his head, and he played he played the whole the Dick Vermeil press conference after Trent Green got hurt, and Dick Vermeil saying, "We will rally behind Kurt Warner," and we did this whole dramatic thing about it. We've seen it before. And I kind of wish I had gone with the Colts that day, because it felt good and it felt like the feel-good story. But ultimately, Rich, to answer your question, I just think Deshaun Watson is such a rock star, and I don't think he was great in the playoffs last year. I think he learned from it. I'm going to go, as good as the stories the Colts are, I just go with the talent with Deshaun.
You know, having seen him in person, having personally eyeballed him, having personally seen his eyeball that was still bloody before the game in London, it's tough to go away from that. But if Brissett is healthy, there's just something that screams in me that maybe Frank Reich and the Colts, and certainly the Colts back in Luck Day and in Peyton Manning's day, just have the Texans' number in the fact that last year, as we all know, Frank Reich went for it in some overtime situation as opposed to playing for the tie rather than he went for the win instead of the tie and ended up getting the loss. Other than that, I mean, the Colts have done the job, including in the playoffs last year, but Watson is truly... he's, I guess, neck and neck with Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers for the MVP. Who is your MVP right now?
Russ is incredible. I mean, Russell Wilson made, I think, one bad play this year, and it was a pick six to Marcus Peters. But other than that, it's fantastic. And I think for a couple things. I think for the MVP, you got to have the numbers, you got to win, but also you got to kind of give him that story. Like, if you got a story to run behind. You know, last year Mahomes was the sensation and the future of the league, and I feel like Russ has now been through it, and he outlasted the LOB and the Malcolm Butler, and he's come clean on the other side, and he's playing his best football with Pete Carroll. Like, as I'm saying it, I can see this column being written about Russell Wilson, and I think it's him, and I think it's awesome. I mean, I'm completely behind him, and yet, I don't know, Rich, there's something special about this Deshaun Watson. You know, the kick in the eye thing, it's it's incredible because, we hyped so much last year Mahomes about throwing a no-look pass, and really Watson did his own version of that because he wasn't looking because his eyeball was almost hanging out. Like, that's a more impressive no-look pass in a way, and I know for a fact that you sat with him and you were in the room with him, and you've been around a million of these guys. Does Deshaun Watson not have the it factor in the room?
Doubt. I mean, please. It really isn't. He's a dream come true for a franchise. And, I recounted the story a little bit yesterday. I started off the Watson chit-chat with the pre-broadcast meeting. Other folks would start we always leave it to Mooch, certainly with coaches, like, so what do you think? What do you got? That sort of thing.
Sure.
I said to Watson, I'm like, I got some questions. Number one, was it the first time a foot ever got through your opening of your face mask of your life? Yes, he answered. And I'm like, so then when you reached for your helmet, were you readjusting your helmet? He goes, no, actually, I was reaching in to touch my eyeball to see if it was there. I'm like, really?
Oh, God.
You legitimately thought? And the NFL films
it's like
caught
a
it.
Saw movie.
You could see like his hand in there. But obviously though, then there's Brady. There's what happened with the Ravens. And the AFC in my mind is still the Patriots. Who is the team to beat in your mind, Kyle, in the NFC? Kyle Brandt of Good Morning Football here on the Rich Eisen Show. What do you got for me in the NFC right here?
I think it's Power Rankings Wednesday across the NFL, across the blogs, all that, and you can shuffle the way you want. And I'm just still going back to New England. I don't care. I've been through this too many times. Sometimes the year I say, well, they don't have it this year, and the offense isn't there, and then I always end up looking stupid. So I have made it a vow over the past 3 years to say, just roll with New England, no matter what. I don't care what happens. As long as Brady and Belichick, I don't care. If Edelman goes out, they'll just James White you to death. We've seen it a million times, and I actually think, like, yesterday or Sunday, rather, was kind of that key moment in every Patriots season, they don't have it type loss, and they've been exposed. A year ago, they lost to the Lions a year ago. They lost to Matt Patricia a year ago. We can point every season to no, they don't have it loss. I just can't. I can't get off the train, Rich, and I kind of want to for entertainment's sake on television, but I can't.
But in the NFC, you've got who? What do you think so far, halfway through?
It's really hard, but I think the best team in football is the Saints. I do, and I think, I know this has been said, I think this is Sean Payton's greatest campaign as a coach, and that includes a campaign in which he onside kicked in the Super Bowl. I just look at it as they've been through the bad injury. They got that. They've been through everything. They have so many things going for them, and I still think they haven't played their best football. Like, I just think so many years now into Sean Payton, you see teams tune out a coach. You see the message gets lost. Now, maybe that's what's happening in Atlanta right now. I think maybe that's what happened with Mike McCarthy in Green Bay. Good coaches, you just tune them out. I'm tired of it. I can't hear your speeches anymore. And the fact that Sean Payton this deep into his stay in New Orleans is still keeping it fresh and keeping them determined, it's amazing to me. I mean, it's New Orleans, I think, is the best team in football, so I take them to the NFC.
A few more minutes left with Kyle Brandt, my compadre from NFL Network. Good Morning Football. So you are a Bears guy. Anybody who watches this show knows that. You actually were part of their preseason broadcast team. Would you turn the page on Mitchell Trubisky right now, Kyle Brandt?
Yeah, there's the problem is there's not a next page. It's the last page in the book. I got to say, Rich, as a guy who grew up in Chicago, this has been one of the most bitterly disappointing seasons of my life. I think the last time I was this disappointed as a Chicago sports enthusiast, you'd have to look at the NLCS 2003 off the bat of Luis Castillo. The ball goes to left field. Moises Alou reaches for it, and a young gentleman from the north suburbs with headphones on and a turtleneck interferes with the ball, and Steve Bartman happened, and then the Cubs collapse and lose it. That was the last time I was as disappointed as I am in this season. And the problem with Trubisky is there's no recourse. Like, the Bears do not have this young late-round draft pick. They don't have a Devlin Hodges or a Gardner Minshew or any of these guys to say, screw it, let's give it a shot. They got Mitch. They got Chase Daniel, who's not happening. They've already tried it. And that's it. And the worst part of that is, okay, so maybe you think you're screwed this season. There's no draft picks. Like, they spent them. Their draft picks were number 52. He's a pass rusher for the Bears. His name's Khalil. They're not going in this first round and getting a pick. So it's like, not only does Mitch not working, they bet it all. They said, Matt Nagy, we're going to give you this young athletic quarterback from the ACC, and we think you can win with him. And they can't. It's just busted. So it's not just that it's not working. I don't see a fix. They're in a bad marriage with no prenup, and they just got to ride it out and pay the piper.
But that said, there is potentially maybe somebody older for this relationship, Kyle, to continue this analogy. And his name is Cameron. And we all know Cameron has been in a parade in Chicago in pop culture fame. This one, however, will not be wearing a Red Wings jersey. He's currently wearing a Panthers jersey, and it looks like he might be available at age 31, nice and healthy with a chip on his shoulder. Would you be all for that if you can obviously work out the cap ramifications? What do you think?
Well, I mean, it would be worth it, Rich, just if you showed up in that Gordie Howe sweater. I mean, that would be an unbelievable homage to Cameron's. It's interesting, keeping up that analogy. You would then be getting out of this crazy marriage and turn into a more mature woman, an older woman. Correct. But, man, that woman has been through a lot, and she's got scars, and she's eccentric, and she dresses strange, and it changes the whole face of your family. And in this case, that family would be the Bears franchise. I don't see the McCaskies. I don't see Ryan Pace, the GM, or Matt Nagy saying, we're going to go with Cam Newton because, of course, you get seduced by Cam. But, like, has there ever been a bigger buyer beware than Cam Newton? Of course, I'm intoxicated by good Cam. But, frankly, I've been waiting for good Cam for about 4 years. And it's the shoulder and it's the foot. And it sort of feels like one of these, if you can haul it, you can have it items on Craigslist. And I love it. But I'm very, very scared that if we pay Cam, we bring him in, and it just doesn't have it anymore. So I don't think that's the answer for the Bears. And as a Bears fan, like, I would rather have a completely fresh start than a hand-me-down Cam Newton.
Well, then, at the risk of sounding even creepier with this analogy, what about
Go on, I love this.
What about somebody a little bit more steady, a little bit older, but a little bit more steady, out of a very long-term relationship that just didn't work out? This person was told it's not me, it's you. It's a redhead in Andy Dalton. Would that be something that could be a marriage for Chicago, Kyle?
You know, it's one of these things where it doesn't blow you away, okay? But it's like, the Bears have been such a crazy ride in their relationship, and it's 1 minute we're going to Coachella, and then we're going to Burning Man, and up and down, and we're going to swingers parties. It's been nuts. I can't go through this.
Right.
And then you have Andy Dalton who says, you know what? I just like to hang out and paint tiny soldiers and watch Madam Secretary. That's what I like to do. And I think we can do that together. So the fact that they have these type of players and the so-called genius in Nagy, this is where I'm at, Rich. This is how disappointing this season has been.
Yes.
You were suggesting to me, would you like the Bears to have Andy Dalton coming off a winless team and a guy who's never won a playoff game? And I'm thinking, I think I would like to date Andy Dalton. Let's do it. Bring him in. I actually would.
You know what? By the way, great Madam Secretary poll. I mean, out of all the CBS oeuvre that you could choose.
I love it. And she's president now, Madam President.
Hey, look,
Taylor
man.
Leone, she's fantastic.
Look, if you want to go through pop culture and television, Benson started as a butler, wound up governor. Come on. So, I mean, there's been crazy ascensions.
I love Benson resets, Rich. I'm actually regretting this. You said you had your icebreaker for Deshaun Watson. I had one for you, and I didn't get to do it. Let me give you I'm here in New York, a New York newspaper-style blind item, and I want to see if you can figure it out.
Okay.
Here's your blind item. Here we go.
Yes, let's go, Kyle.
Yesterday, Kyle Brandt had the privilege to hang out with a major movie star who goes way back with Rich Eisen and is a huge fan of the Rich Eisen show. Do you know who it is? There's so many, but I hung out with one yesterday. And I'll have a hint for you if you need it.
I think I need to go phone a friend or something like that.
Okay.
What do you got
you
for
can
me?
ask the audience. Your hint is
a movie star.
It could be anybody.
Okay, you said
movie star. It could be Costner. It could be Bacon. It's none of them. This fan who I hung out with yesterday is a huge fan of the Kansas City Chiefs and goes way back with you, and he could possibly be an Avenger as well.
Oh, it's Paul Rudd. It's
Paul Rudd.
Good old Rudd.
You got it. I was with Paul Rudd yesterday, and you and I had a text exchange, and I mentioned to him, I love Rich. I go back with Rich to the first Anchorman and all this. He's done so many things with you. Paul Rudd is the absolute best, and he's so thrilled about the Chiefs. And like I said, couldn't say enough good things about you.
Paul Rudd is a great human. A great human who just happens to be absurdly famous and extremely popular and successful, and is just a regular dude. Love that guy. I love him.
And he's doing Ghostbusters now. He's doing another Ant-Man movie. He's the best. He's absolute best.
I did not know that. He's doing Ghostbusters. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, he's doing it, and the whole cast is back and everything. It's really cool.
Oh, my gosh. Kyle Brandt, I really love chatting with you. I love our chats, and you guys just killing it on Good Morning Football. I tell you this every time, and I'll say it one more time. When the NFL Network turned 16 on Monday, and for years we were wondering if there would be another show on a daily basis that could be the other tent pole to NFL Total Access, and then along came Good Morning Football with you guys, and you're crushing it, killing it, and I really can't love watching it more. So thanks for the call.
Rich, thank you so much. We get a little nuts sometimes. We refer to the show as Total Excess.
Total.
And it's really fun.
Well, they just popped up. Our Los Angeles Broadcast Center crew just popped up the, I guess, quartet. Your guys, your Halloween costumes. You went full Boz. That's very nicely done.
God. We Bozified it. I had the Oakleys, I had the Reebok pumps, and I had a blonde weave, and I was just going stone cold the whole time because anything less would be uncivilized.
Yeah. Well done, Kyle Brandt. Thanks for the call, brother. We'll chat soon.
Always flattered to be on, Rich. Thank you.
Oh, right back at you. That's Kyle Brandt, at Kyle Brandt on Twitter, right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Check out Good Morning Football every day on NFL Network at 7 a.m. Eastern Time.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.